Today we're going to have a look at how to quote books or magazines on Dolphin 4. Now, we're going to open the estimating module by hitting the quote button. And once that opens up, we are going to start by explaining the process behind quoting a book or magazine. Now, the principle is exactly the same, be it a book or magazine. The only difference being stuff like your materials used or your binding types at the end of the day. So you've got to bear in mind pages, normally up to 100 pages. You go into saddle stitch, over and above that, even sometimes under 100 pages, depending on the type of magazine or book. You might per bind or perfect bind, which is a square back. Okay, so that's the only things you need to consider on Dolphin 4 when you are doing books or magazines. Now, to start a new quote, we're going to hit this green plus button. And that's now going to empty out the filters and give us or assign us a new quote number. We're then going to come down to the administration section and we're going to select the client, which we always do. We'll select Dolphin Works. I'm not going to populate all of this. I'm coming straight to my description. And as I always mention, under the description, you want to type in a description that is going to give a clear understanding to your client as to what they'll be receiving, okay, from you. So I'll call this maybe magazines. And I'll say in this case it's going to be a 96 page plus cover. And then I'll say that the text is printed in full color throughout. And I'll say it's maybe on a 128 gram gloss. And then I'll say that my cover is going to be printed in full color both sides and matte laminated one side only on 250 gram gloss art. Gloss art. And then I'm going to say in this case it's going to be saddle stitched, 2 wires and trimmed flush. And obviously terminology is something that's specific to sometimes your location or the type of work that you do. But now that I've got the description populated, it's clearly defined as to what the customer will be receiving. I haven't left anything out. The binding type is there, the materials are there, the fact that the cover has a lamination on it, the page extent plus the cover, everything is specified under the description. I can now come over to my finish size. I can hit the thin size drop down and we're going to specify that this is going to be an A4 book. Okay, so once this drop down populates, we're going to select A4, click into a empty column, and it will now populate the depth and the width accordingly. Okay, now once that populates, we're going to come across to the quantity and we'll specify we're quoting on 5,000 books. And as you know in Dolphin, if you want to add more quantities, you can just hit this green copy tick and you can change it to whatever quantity you like over there. I'll specify 3 quantities. So 5, 7.5, and 10,000 are the 3 quantities I'm going to be quoting on today. I now need to head over to the press tab, select that. It turns green once it's selected. You can hit the plus button to add your new section. Now we're going to start off with the text. Okay, so I'm going to select text and I'm going to hit add. Now once the text propagates, I'm going to come to this PP column, which is your page extent, and our page extent is a 96 pager. So I'm going to populate it with 96. Okay. I'm then going to come over to the ink. I'm going to hit the plus button and I'm going to specify that it's process double-sided or full color both sides. So I've added that in now. A standing for all, so you can see both sides is selected. Okay, I'm going to come to my paper. We specified it's 128 gloss art. I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to come to my filter and I'm going to say I want to print it on Neo. So I can search for Neo and grammage. I can say 128 gram. I'm now going to select my 64915 sheet, add that in. And now I'm going to head down to my press, hit the plus button, and I'm going to select my Komori G640, which is a A1 press, and I'm going to add that in. Okay. Now, once we've specified what the press is and the paper size, we can now determine that based on an A4 running on an A1 press using a 64915 sheet, we're able to produce a 16-page section on that machine, right? 8 pages backed by 8 pages. Now, because we're running a 96-pager, the system is telling us we need 6 sections, which is correct. 6 by 16-page sections. So we can even, for the purpose of the work ticket, which follows at a later stage, under section, we can even now say 6 by 16-page text sections. So we can propagate that under section so that when you print a work ticket, it lays it out in this order on the work ticket. So when the machine minder looks at his text, he knows I'm running 6 by 16-page text sections. Okay, so easy to understand. Now, the only thing you need to consider when you are doing text, okay, on a magazine or a book, you've got to run, if your maximum size capabilities are A1 and you're running an A4 book, it means you can run 16-page sections. Now, in a case like that, you've got to keep all your 16 pages together as a section. If you've got any 8 pages, you've got to list the 8 page as a separate section. Okay. In other words, if you've got a 104 page magazine, just to give you an example, you're going to load all your 16s together. So if you take 104 and you go divide it by 16, it's going to tell you you're going to have 6 16s and an 8. So you're going to load your first section as 6 16s. Then you're going to come in here, just to give you an example, load text again. You're going to say, now I need an 8-page section. Okay. And then you're going to go, you're going to add in, I'll just show you how it's done though. You're going to add in your ink now again. You're going to add your paper, and you can specify, just for this example, once again, it's on a 64915. We're actually going to run it on the same press. And then we're going to select that press, which is our G640. We're going to add it in. And now you'll notice that basically it's telling us that pages we can run 16. Okay, but we only require 8, which is why it's showing us a repeat of 0. So we need to specify under pages, we require 8 and we only want to run 8 pages. So if you override that pages to 8, it's going to show you 1 repeat now. Okay, because we're running an 8-page section. It's going to give you the open size of that 8-page section, which is 420 by 494 by 594. And it's going to tell you under your press now, you can run that 2 up, work and turn. Okay. So that's how you're going to load your 8-pager. And if you've got a 4-pager, you'll do it in exactly the same manner. You'll state TP4 and pages 4. It will show you an A3 size and it will tell you you can run it 4 up, work and turn. Okay, so that's how you've got to load pages into a MIS system. You run all your 16s together as one sections, all your 8s together as one, and all your 4s together as one. Okay, so I'll just delete that 8-pager out of the system because we're only quoting on a 96-pager. Now, once the 96-pager, you've selected the paper, the press, and everything that goes along with it. You won't select guillotine because we're assuming our saddle stitcher has a 3-knife trimmer and we're running the sheets directly out of the wrapper, so we're not pre-cutting. Okay, so what are we going to link to our 16-page sections? We're going to now come to the top here and we're going to link finishing. So we're going to hit this plus button and it's going to open up our finishing department. We now need to fold our 6 16-page sections. So we're going to look for our folding machine. We're going to select that and we're going to add it in. Okay, so now we're folding the 6 16-page sections. And to see that listing, we're going to click on the additional column. We're going to go down to finishing. You're going to see the folding there. The parent is what the folding is actually linking to. So it's telling you that you are folding 6 by 16-page sections. The quantity, which is highlighted on top, is the 5,000. So it's telling you the run is 5,000. Multiplied by 6 sections, which is going to give you a total run on that folding machine of 30,000 sheets that needs to go through that folding machine. So that's basically how you're linking your folding to the section. Just as a matter of interest, if you look under pre-press, you can see the Komori G640 plates has been calculated as 48, which is your 6 sections by 8 plates per section gives you 48. So now you know that that's all calculating correctly. We can now come back to our press section, and we are now going to work on the next part of our quotation, which is our cover. So to add a cover, you're going to hit this plus button. You're going to select the cover, hit the add button. And because it's a 4-page cover, just like you're adding an 8-page or a 4-page, it's going to pull through the PP as 4 and the pages as 4. Okay, which is going to give you your A3 open size. You now can specify your ink. Once again, it's going to be processed double-sided. So we add that into the quotation. We come down to our paper. We've specified it's going to be on 250 gloss art. So we can hit the plus button. We'll keep it under Neo, but we'll change the grammage to 250. And there we've got a display of our 250s. Now, obviously, if you've got an A2 press or even an A1 press, you can decide you want to run it on a half sheet 2-up or 4-up on a 640-915 if it's high quantities or whatever the case may be. For the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to select the 640-915 and hit the add button. Right, so now we've added in our paper. Next thing we need to do is add in the press. So now I'm going to choose that same Komori G640 because I want to run this on an A1 press. And you can see now once I've selected that press, it's determined that I can run this cover 4-up, which is correct. And because it's full color both sides, Dolphin will always look at the most cost-effective way to print it, which is work and turn, because you only need one set of plates. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. The only other thing I need to link is the guillotine to the actual cover, because now we need to cut this cover down. Okay, so I'm going to select the plus button and I'm going to add in my guillotine for cutting this cover down to size. Okay, once that has been done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this link finishing button, and we're going to assume that our gang stitcher has a cover feeder, but let's say we need to score these covers or crease the covers before we can load it into the machine. Just to show you how to link the finishing, I can now select creasing and I can add that in. And then I can link finishing once again if I want to, and I can actually add in, because it's a global finishing, I can add in my saddle stitching. So I'll select saddle stitch and I'll add that in as well. Now if I go to my additional column, you can see I've got my creasing linked to my cover and I've got the saddle stitching linked to the cover. The saddle stitching you can add under finishing directly because it's global. So it doesn't actually matter if you add it or you link it to your text or your cover, because it's not taking the repeats into account. Okay, it's got hoppers on it, so we're only calculating the overall run of the machine. We're not calculating how much per section. Okay, so you can add the saddle stitching wherever you feel comfortable. It's important to link the folding to the text and the cover if need be, so that it knows how much repeats to take into account. Likewise with the scoring, you need to link it to the cover so that it knows basically how much repeats to make an allowance for the creasing, the correct scoring or creasing cost. So basically at this stage, you can see on top over here, it's allowed the 4 plates for running that cover work and turn. So at this stage, everything that needs to be done on your factory floor has been taken care of. The only other thing is the matte laminating. Now we're assuming in this company of ours, we don't have a laminator in-house, we need to outsource it. So in a case like that, we're going to click on outside work. Okay, then we're going to hit the plus button and we're going to add in our matte laminating over here. And you can see you can link whoever the company is who's going to be doing that laminating for you. So we'll just take Eco Signage for argument's sake. You can even put in the cost per sheet. So I can say if that's A3, I can say it's 3 Rand a sheet for A3. Okay, and now I can add that into the quotation. And now you'll see, sorry, it's just pulled through the wrong thing. I'll just say it's matte laminated one side, and I'll say this is A3. So we've got 5,000 covers, okay, because we're going to send the covers 1 up. So if I put in a cost of 3 Rand a cover, I can put it in there and it will work it out to 15,000 Rand for the 5,000. Or if you contact your Outwork supplier and they quote you, they send you a quote. You've got this column where you can put in their quote number. So if that's their quote number, you can populate it there. And if they gave you a price per quantity, right? Let's say for 5,000 it's 3 Rand each. For 7.5, they tell you it's 2 Rand 85. And for 10,000, it's going to be maybe 2 Rand 20 a sheet, right? You can populate it under cost per one for each quantity here. And the minute you click OK, let's just give it a chance to save. So once you click OK, there you can see my 5,000 is highlighted. So my cost per one is 3 Rand each. If my 7,500 is highlighted, my cost is 285. And if my 10,000 quantity is highlighted, my cost is 2 Rand 20 a sheet. Okay, so that takes care of your Outwork. We can now come back into the additional column and go to deliveries, hit the plus button, and we can now say we maybe want to shrink wrap this in hundreds. So now we can specify quantity. A pack is 100. And the nice thing about Dolphin is once you've listed a finishing operation like wrapping or shrink wrapping or something like that, you can notice over here under the kg column, Dolphin will work out the actual weight, overall weight of this job based on the specifications. So the 10,000 quantity is highlighted. It's telling us that it's 4.863 tons, 4.863 tons or 4,863 kilograms. If I hit the 7.5, you can see it's 3.6 tons. And if I hit the 5,000, it's 2.4 tons. That's the overall weight of the job. So if you need to courier this, you obviously need a weight dimension and you need a packaging dimension, which is your box size. So you're able to basically tell them what size box, how many boxes, and this is the total weight of the job, and you can get a costing for courier. We'll assume though that this is just going to be a local delivery, so I'll allow for that. And basically the quote is now complete. Okay, so once again, you can hit the print button and you can print the actual quote letter that you can send off to the client. So we'll just wait for that to propagate on the screen here now. And then once you view the quote letter, you can make sure all the information is correct on here. You've got two options available to you. Either hit the print button to print a hard copy, hit the email button to convert to a PDF, pull it into Outlook and send it off to your client. And that's basically how you're going to quote books or magazines in Dolphin. As I mentioned right at the start, the only things you need to take into consideration is if you've got a page extent that's made up of 16s, 8s, and 4s, you're grouping all the 16s together, all the 4s together, all the 8s together when you load it into your system. Okay. The other thing you need to take into consideration is your finishing. In this case, it's a 96 pager. We're able to saddle stitch it. The only difference being, if it's not saddle stitch, it may be per bound or wire bound or whatever the case may be. It might even be a hardcover. And then you just need to select the appropriate finishing that goes with that style of book. Okay. So that's basically the same concept applies to all books. The way we populate it in the system applies to every type of book as well. If you've got something like a throw-out cover, okay, a 6-page cover or 8-page cover that has the throwouts, all you've got to do is instead of selecting cover and 4-page, you're going to select sheet and you're going to put the open size of that 6-page or 8-page cover in there. And then work out your ink, your paper, your press, and so on and so forth. So I hope this was interesting as well as useful. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can hit us up on our email. We can always, if you need a bit more information or quoting something a bit more intricate and you're stuck, you can always drop us an email and we can set up a team viewer meeting with you and show you how to do it on your own database. So I hope this was helpful. Please hit the like and subscribe button to be notified also of new videos that's been posted on our page or our YouTube channel that can be of help for you in the future. So thank you so much and have a great day.